And I see refineries, pump lines, somewhat like pipelines having challenge.
Civil society groups under the aegis of the United Niger Delta Congress are asking the National Assembly to review its position on the pipeline surveillance contract on the grounds that their position contradicts the Petroleum Industry Act. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, President of the Congress, Comrade Julius Malam Obi, says the position of the National Assembly, which dismissed its petition on the issues of pipeline surveillance, is a systematic exclusion of the very ethnic nations whose land sustains the nation's wealth. The group insists that the monopolization of the 2.1 trillion naira pipeline surveillance contract is not merely unfair, but a ticking time bomb in a region with a long history of struggle for justice.
Waridi Enuso is the Executive Director of Operations and Technical Tantita Services, Security Services Limited. Captain, thank you for coming on the program.
Yes, I can hear you. I am transmitting. Thank you very much.
All right, Captain. So did you hear some of the things that Mr. Maboye said? Do you share some of the sentiment he is putting forward? He has said clearly that nobody is saying that Tantita is not doing a great job, but it's not going to kill anyone if it is decentralized based on the amnesty pact that was agreed, where all these big 5+1, as it calls it, this general, nobody came under anybody. Everybody came with their own force to present themselves for amnesty. They say it's not going to kill anyone in renewing the contract to decentralize, so even further secure the place, even more, way maybe better. Is that something that makes sense to you?
Well, it doesn't really make much sense to me, who is on ground and operating. And I think a lot of them don't even know how this oil theft situation works. Now, you have the pipelines crisscrossing 6 states in the Niger Delta, 6 states. And then they're also going into the ocean. All right. Now, you give me a contract that is based on performance. If Nigeria does not meet a certain amount of production, I don't get paid. From a pipeline that crosses from your section to my section, or you do your part, but when the pipeline gets to my section, all the oil is stolen. What do? This was the exact case from the Zombe to Ogoda to Brass. The company at that time was Adax. Adax had locked-in barrels because everything they pumped to Izombe arrived, but from Izombe to Brass for export was 0. This was apparently going on for 6 years, 6. So they had to stop pumping. So while the Izombe side did their job, and this thing I'm telling you, there was a security company operating at the time. But due to the decentralization they probably had at that time, those taking care of the Ogoda to Brass did not do their job, or could not do their job, let me say so, because it's a very challenging job. And everything that was done from the other end never arrived at the export terminal. How do you handle that? It is very difficult. Now, most of this whole thing is being talked around amnesty. Well, was really amnesty the only problem? That's why most of the people talking about amnesty does not know the enormity of this problem. You have a lot of ships out there. If you had seen the inception of this contract and what we discovered, you will also find that some of those pipelines were bogged, tapped, taking 5 kilometers or 5 nautical miles out to sea where ships do come. So how do the militants handle that? The militancy was mainly around vandalism here and there, but the oil theft was huge. People need to understand this.
If there are 10 communities and pipeline passes through and maybe contract is given for them to protect whatever is given, if community A fails in their responsibility, they'll forfeit their 30%. Not that the entire chain of 10 communities will be affected. I'm responding to when you talk about if you protect your end, this man fails in his end, all of us are caught up in the web. Is that what that seemed to be in contradiction with the provision I just read of the PIA?
Okay, yes, that act is there. But the question now is, are you putting meters in every community to find out whether, who, and what is responsible? Because when we started this job, if you see the amount of illegal connections on the pipelines, they ran in thousands from different locations here and there. In fact, wellhead theft is even far more serious than pipeline, because with pipeline you detect because the oil is not flowing. But when it comes to wellheads, they just take, it's like opening a bottle, pour your whiskey, drink and go. You know, so it's a very, very enormous problem. And as I said, and if you also remember what my MD said in the National Assembly, he made something very clear. We're not protecting the pipeline from the people. It was very clear. He said, we are protecting the pipelines with the people. So by the time that most of these pipelines are replaced and also things go in such a way that we have max operation, I think you will see more than the 2.2 million barrels a day. Thank you very much. Bye.